And please, stop using me as a black man as your pawn. And yes, I said it, to push your agenda. I'm sick of it.
Mr. Johnson, we're going to go in proper order. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Well, this is a great way to run a hearing. Impressive. The legislation being put forward now for voting rights authorization and expansion counts any change to a state's voter ID law as a mark against it. 36 states already have voter ID laws. That's what's being done. It's very specific. It's very purposeful. That's what's actually happening. The Voting Rights Act punishes states for improving the processes they use to clean up and maintain accurate voting rolls. They're making that an actual element, and they're trying to compare that, making sure that voting rolls, which have currently massive numbers of dead people registered, people who aren't in the state, people who have moved, where you can't have faith in the voting rolls, somehow that is going to be made equivalent to the Jim Crow South, for which the Voting Rights Act was so important in 1965. And it undermines the Voting Rights Act to suggest, as Senator Durbin did, that if you oppose Section 5 preclearance and you opposed the absurdity of basing Section 5 preclearance on 40-year-old data, that somehow you're against the Voting Rights Act. That's what happens. Those are the political talking points. And I would just ask our witness and the Lieutenant Governor from North Carolina if you could help me understand. Was the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the United States Constitution passed and moved by Republicans or Democrats? Right. And was the movement to put your microphone on, sir?
That would be Republicans.
Was the move for the 64 Civil Rights Act and 65 Voting Rights Act led heavily by Republicans or Democrats?
That would be Republicans.
And so as we sit here today, and as we're being accused by many of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle of wanting to somehow perpetuate the Jim Crow South, when in fact what we're trying to do is perpetuate laws that you can believe in, that you've so eloquently discussed, do you see any merit in that whatsoever?
Absolutely not. And just if I have a moment just to add something, when you talk about that history is clear. Who stood on which side at every turn in history? It is clear. It's not even in dispute. And it's not in dispute now. What we want is integrity. We don't want power. We want integrity. We want the right thing to be done. We want to encourage citizens to be responsible. We want to have the best election system in the world. In the world. Third world countries, places like India where the poverty rate is staggering, they have to show that finger when they go vote. It's time that we modernize our election system in this country and stop playing all these silly games based on race. And please, stop using me as a black man as your pawn. And yes, I said it, to push your agenda. I'm sick of it. It happened a long time ago in this country, and I'm tired.
Chairman, I would ask that the witness answer the question. His time has expired.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I just have a unanimous consent request to insert something in the record.
Unanimous consent to insert something in the record.
Consent request.
5 minutes, Mr. Johnson.
You've already said that we could enter that in the record. You said it in your opening, Mr. Chairman. What changed?
Mr. Johnson, can you hear me?
So we're not going to insert something in the record?
So Republicans
recognized
can't
for 5
enter anything
minutes.
in the record? I'm
So
just
the
need
chairman
clarification.
doesn't want us to be able to insert stuff in the record?
Maybe in a few minutes, but not right now.
Oh, because when I had my time closing, I didn't want to insert it at the time inserted when I spoke.
Mr. Johnson, we're going to go in proper order. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Well, this is a great way to run a hearing. Impressive.
What's wrong?